Welcome to Alaska Weather, a production of Alaska Public Media and the National Weather Service, Alaska Region. Produced and broadcast daily from the studios of KAKM, Alaska Weather provides complete forecasts, public, marine, and aviation for all of Alaska. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.
Hello everyone, and thanks again for joining us for today's edition of Alaska Weather. Let's take a look at the warning chart here. Still a flood warning and advisories. Flood warnings and advisories are out for the Chena River until 10:30 p.m. and flood warnings remain out on the Salsa River. That also until later this evening. I think it's 10:30 or 11 on both of those rivers have crested. The Salsa River cresting at 18.3 feet. That's the highest level they've had since 1986. And I think the third highest all-time level in 1967 during that big flood. 21.3 feet was recorded on the Salsa River. So pretty high water levels there. That all due to the 2 to 4 inches of rain or more that fell Friday, and then the other ½ inch or so that came in last night, but appears to be going down now as the conditions become a little more showery. Yesterday we had this area of cloudiness and moisture dropping southward. The main low here in the Gulf of Alaska, so that circulating things back to the west up here along the north, and this whole big area of cloudiness there. That's what last evening came in, brought the line of thunderstorms across the Kenai Peninsula, especially up toward Cook Inlet, south central Alaska, and the periods of heavy rain showers that lasted through the night, and in the case of the Susitna Valley, through the day and the afternoon. Otherwise, not too bad down here to the south, and some more moisture gathering and pushing northeastward yesterday. That brought rain in across the southeast coast with this band coming northward, kind of weakening, a weakening low center here. Another one developing, stronger system that's going to be pulling north and northwest. So gale warnings are out for this system coming up tonight along the southeast coast. And then this very vivid band of clouds extending from the eastern Arctic coast all the way down in across south central Alaska, Kodiak Island, and then the sunny skies here just to the west of that feature from the Arctic coast up here all the way down in across portions of Bristol Bay. And then what's not showing up here is a bank of low clouds and fog along the Alaska Peninsula on the Bering Sea side, and some more up in through here, but it did clear out again over the Pribilof Islands, back up towards St. Lawrence Island areas, and then a weak system out to the west. And rolling this along again, you can see how that band of moisture gradually edging its way westward here. High pressure building in along the North Gulf Coast, shifting into Prince William Sound this morning. Kicked those winds off, gave a pretty good pressure gradient, as much as 12 millibars from Prince William Sound up into the interior. So that kicked those winds up through Turnagain Arm, Anchorage, up to 35 miles an hour in gusts. And that helped shut the rain off here over northern Cook Inlet on up into Palmer. But again, continuing to rain into the afternoon, still carrying moderate rain at 4 o'clock in Talkeetna, and even heavier amounts back in toward the Alaska Range there, with thunderstorms developing right along that narrow band there. West of King Salmon on up into the mountains. Dillingham reporting moderate to heavy showers, and then those are even becoming more widespread here farther to the north, and also up over the mountains there just west of the Susitna Valley, more in that area right there. Another location I've seen some developing thunderstorms. We'll see on the outer edge here of the clouds where it's swarming into the mid-70s this afternoon. 75 at McGrath, for example, with 70s even out over the Seward Peninsula. Again, a lot of solstice sunshine warming it up quite nicely out in this area. And on the chart, there's that area of high pressure that helped push that band of moisture through with showers, thunderstorms, again, periods of heavy rain, moderate rain this afternoon, Kodiak Island there at the state airport. And then this, the next front here, actually down in that area, this is the one that brought the rain in today to the Panhandle, and that's the next one. We'll bring the rain and wind in tonight to the same area. On this shot, you can see the extensive area of low clouds here from Old Bristol Bay, but mostly on the north side of the peninsula there, all the way back to the Fox Island, actually all the way across the Aleutians. Lots of clear skies again up over the Nunivak Island area, northeast Bering Sea, down to about St. Paul Island, and some patchy stuff up over the Chukchi Sea, but not as extensive as it was yesterday. And then this low pressure area, a lot of clouds, rain, drizzle, and fog out there, but all that mostly west of Nikolsky. And for tonight, that seems about the same place out there. The front drops southeastward a little bit from its current position. Weak high pressure holding over the Alaska Peninsula and actually extending up over the northern Bering Sea, and that's going to continue to direct that frontal boundary up to the north and northeast. Otherwise, again, scattered showers, thunderstorms, some a little more numerous right through this area here along the trough axis. This holding about steady, still trying to work its way to the west a little bit, so you may see an increase in the clouds here and the chance of showers into the Kuskokwim Valley this evening and tonight. Otherwise, just some hit and miss scattered showers, very isolated thunderstorms up over the interior. Some areas will be pretty fair to mostly clear. And the Copper River Basin, look for those winds to diminish, gusting as high as 30 miles an hour through the Copper River or along the Copper River there. Those will drop off as this high shifts inland tonight in advance of this front, which will spread rain westward back in along the North Gulf Coast. Cordova from Yakutat. Look for it to become a little more showery, though, at Kodiak Island. The heavier steady rain beginning to shut off tonight, becoming more showery, but still a lot of clouds around. Here's the next storm rolling up into the eastern Gulf of Alaska, or the southeast Gulf there. So gale force winds, gale warnings are out tonight here, and that'll be moving northward later tonight and tomorrow to catch the northern coast as well, with rain, possibly heavy at times, coming in first to the southern areas and then progressing northward. So let's pop ahead to tomorrow, and you'll see the front right up along the coastline now. So the gales starting the day out, but that'll be weakening. Those will be dropping off gradually to small craft advisories. Rain heaviest along the immediate coast, more of an occasional rain over the eastern areas to just showers there over Canada. And then some of this moisture pulling back to the west, so a chance of rain over Prince William Sound, Cordova, less of a chance in Valdez. Looks like a partly to mostly sunny day for Cook Inlet, all the way down to possibly Kodiak Island into the valleys there as the main rain area, right along the Alaska Range tomorrow, and just to the east, or just to the east. We'll pull back to the west by the afternoon there, and looking pretty good up in the Tanana Valley and just about all of the eastern interior down into the Nebezna area, with the Arctic coast hanging on to some brisk east winds on the east side, probably not as high as today, which gusts as high as 35 miles an hour on the east side there. Less wind, and again about the same pattern we saw today, with the VFR occurring on the western Arctic coast and the IFR on the east side. Areas of low clouds and fog here along the coastal areas, but a little more moisture now, a little more cloudiness and showers, so the clear areas will be closer out to the coastline here, with a better chance of showers through the Kuskokwim Valley, right up into the Kobuk, Koyukuk Valley areas, possible thunderstorms as well. High pressure continues out over the northern Bering Sea and actually ridges down across the eastern Aleutians. So that's keeping this low pressure area pretty stationary out there, with all the clouds and fog with some drizzle. So not a lot going on out to the west here. Just watching this front kind of stalling out. The main low center pulls back to the west, so it doesn't really kick the front through until sometime late Monday. Still out along the coast here, so it looks like periods of rain starting tonight will continue through tomorrow night, and probably most of Monday as well, with the rain cutting off at about Cordova. Still looking at scattered afternoon showers, kind of a partly to mostly sunny condition here over south central Alaska, with these afternoon showers developing over the mountainous areas like the Kenai Peninsula. Risk of a thunderstorm over the Talkeetnas, otherwise less in the way of showers back here to the western areas. And we still have that trough here in the west, but not as active as it has been. Still look for some showers and clouds, but not quite as heavy or as widespread as they will be tomorrow. Lots of sunshine possible here over the northeast and eastern interior, with just some scattered isolated thunderstorms over the Kobuk Valley and possibly the central Brooks Range, with some showers even up along the central Arctic coast, but should be pretty nice here in the west. Seward Peninsula staying dry, mostly sunny conditions there, and the areas of low clouds and fog out over the Bering Sea. This system now looking a little more organized, but looks like the rainfall may reach Nikolsky, but probably not much farther to the east. It'll all stay out here over the central Aleutians with high pressure surrounding it, kind of holding it in place. Well, temperatures today at 4 p.m. Look like this along the southeast coast, mid to upper 50s, 58 at Sitka, as well as Skagway and Yakutat, some of the warmer locations, otherwise 57 over at Cordova, with a 54 in Valdez, same thing in Seward, and same thing in Anchorage, 51 in Kenai, 49 again moderate rain, Kodiak, 49 moderate rain also up at Talkeetna, 53 at Northway, 59 breezy degrees there at Gulkana, and 56 Delta, while Fairbanks had 58. And then you can see where the clouds end and the sun breaks out here, a lot of 70s, mid 70s from the Kobuk Valley all the way down into the Kuskokwim Valley today. Cooler, but still pretty nice all the way out to the coastline. 61 in Nome and a 56 there at Tin City. Temperatures still in the mid to upper 30s along the entire stretch of the Arctic coast there from Barter Island all the way down and around to Point Hope. Then you get into the 40s to lower 50s across Kotzebue Sound and those areas, with lower 60s there at Anatuvik and Arctic Village. Off to the southwest, 69 in Bethel with a 41 up at Savunga. 54 where the sun broke out at St. Paul, but still under the low clouds and fog. St. George only 41 degrees, and 46 on Alaska, but Nikolsky up to 50, upper 40s though for the remainder of the Aleutians. Chignik 63 degrees and a 67 at King Salmon, and 61 at Dillingham with some rain. For the lows tonight, mid 50s, pretty mild out here in the western areas. Coolest over the southeast and east, 35 Eagle, 37 Gulkana, and a little cooler, but not much. Generally, all those spot temperatures are above freezing, but still in the lower 30s there. Look for some lower 50s over the Panhandle. And the highs tomorrow, 70s to upper 70s now. Again, more sunshine expected, and less here to the west, so the warmer temperatures will begin showing up over the Yukon Valley on down into the Tanana Valley, with 50s and 60s to maybe near 70 here south of the mountains, but mostly in the upper 50s to mid 60s south central Alaska. 50s again for the Panhandle with the rain, and upper 40s to lower 50s out west. For the flying weather, IFR again here right along the Alaska Range, and areas of back to the west will be improving here along the east side of the Alaska Range during the afternoon hours, but VFR here back to the east all the way up into the upper Yukon Valley. IFR again on the eastern Arctic coast and areas of right down to St. Lawrence Island. Lots of IFR out to the west and much of the Aleutians, maybe a breakthrough here, and then IFR again due to low clouds and fog along the Alaska Peninsula. Again, this could be broken up, but pretty good chance of seeing it somewhere in this area at some point in the day tomorrow. And then, of course, IFR here with that front edging its way eastward into the southeast coast, spreading northward, possibly as far north as it passes tomorrow afternoon. Anatuvik looks pretty good. Occasional marginal VFR, but I don't think there'll be any IFR. And Adigan, marginal VFR, could be some periods where it's VFR. Lake Clark and Merrill starting out IFR and then gradually improving both passes there to more of a marginal condition to possibly VFR in the east entrance. Rainy, same forecast as well, IFR improving throughout the day. And windy starting out marginal, becoming VFR. And all of the Alaska Range passes here to the east, both Isabel and Mentasta, marginal to start with, becoming VFR. Tanita VFR throughout the entire day. Portage, maybe some marginal VFR in the eastern entrance, otherwise VFR. And for Chilkoot and White, marginal VFR, possibly becoming IFR throughout the afternoon toward evening. And for the freezing levels here, cold pool over the Gulf of Alaska with the upper low, and actually kind of an upper trough up into the interior as well. Warmer conditions to the west, and then the real warm air out here over the western Aleutians. Icing threats, could be some mixed icing here, some of which could be of the moderate variety along that trough axis with the moisture showers, thunderstorms tomorrow, and then again with the front, mostly rime icing coming into the southeast coast and spreading back to the west here with possible areas of more of a moderate rime ice variety there, mostly back along the back edge of the frontal zone. And looking at the winds aloft, here's the upper low and the cool air aloft here in the Gulf of Alaska, the other one up over the interior. And the main jet here down to the south, barely coming up to the eastern Aleutians, but remaining to the south there. And the next system coming into the west central Aleutians. For the 9,000-foot winds, southeasterlies 35 to 40 knots right up along the southeast coast and into the northern Gulf of Alaska. And then 25-knot winds around that low in the interior. Much lighter out here over the Aleutians. Light winds through the Bering Strait and the Arctic coastal areas. 9,000-foot winds showing kind of varied and not too strong out over the Bering Sea and Aleutians there, with the strongest winds occurring with this system coming up to the northwest, as high as 50 knots right across Prince of Wales Island tomorrow, 40-knot winds into the eastern North Gulf Coast. And for turbulence, occasional moderate chop with those winds right along the coastline there, and then back into the Gulf of Alaska with moderate chop a little to the east and north of that location. Otherwise, everywhere else looking pretty smooth turbulence-wise. And after the break, I'll be back to look at the marine forecasts.
Some people think that to be a professional pilot, you have to make your living flying. Well, there's another way to define professional. A professional pilot is a pilot who knows and understands the fundamentals of operating his or her aircraft, both in the air and on the ground. And the second mark of a professional is a desire to always be better. Not just to be a good pilot, but to constantly improve our skills and techniques until we are better pilots. And that's what we're about here today. To review the fundamentals that will make us better pilots as we operate on the runways and taxiways of our airports. In many ways, it takes more knowledge and skill than it takes to fly. So, let's review. Always look, listen, and expect the unexpected.
Know where you are and where you are going.
Study the airport diagram before taxiing.
Write down taxi instructions.
Conduct checklists while stopped, not on the move.
Off, off, off.
Be absolutely familiar with airport signs.
Keep a sterile cockpit to reduce distractions while taxiing.
Identify complex intersections and potential runway crossings.
Look both ways before crossing intersecting taxiways or runways.
When communicating with air traffic control, listen before transmitting.
Cessna 3284 Delta, hold short of runway 19 left.
Listen to what air traffic control is saying to other pilots.
159 Echo Charlie 130 cleared to land. Traffic holding in position.
Be sure you understand all air traffic control instructions.
Cessna 594 base turn approved, runway 25 left, clear to land.
Ask for progressive taxi instructions if confused.
Could you give me progressive taxi instructions?
Cessna 3284 Delta, Merrill Ground, runway 26 right, taxi via Gulf, hold short of runway 26 left.
Don't be afraid to ask that an instruction be repeated.
Ground, the 3284 Delta, say again.
If you don't know, ask. If you're not sure, verify.
That's my squawk, please repeat.
Squawk 7302.
Read back all hold short, position and hold, and runway crossing instructions. A simple Roger won't do. Repeat the entire instruction.
Cessna 3 Sierra Papa. Cross runway 19 left, position and hold runway 19 right.
453 Sierra Papa, crossing runway 19 left, and position and hold runway 19 right.
Turn on all of your lights when crossing a runway. Turn on all of your lights except landing lights when taxiing into position and hold. Turn on your landing lights when cleared for takeoff. This is a signal to other pilots, air traffic control, and ground personnel that your aircraft is moving down the runway for takeoff.
When lining up for departure at night, line up 3 feet to one side of the center line to distinguish your aircraft lights from the runway lights.
Avoid distractions. Observe what's going on around you. Always know where you are and where you're going.
If you and I observe these few common sense rules and procedures, it will go a long way toward making the runways and taxiways of our airport safer for our passengers, our fellow pilots, and ourselves. Heads up, hold short, fly right.
Hello, I'm Bill Davis, Director of the Office of Runway Safety for the FAA. As a fellow aviator, I hope you enjoyed reviewing runway safety from such an exciting perspective. Our thanks to Patty for showing us that attention to safety really does begin well before we climb into our airplanes. Preventing runway collisions is our #1 goal. We can accomplish this goal if we're all committed to improving our skills while operating on runways and taxiways. Thanks again to Patty Wagg's staff. We wish you blue skies and safe landings.
Welcome back. Well, gale force winds tonight may linger into early tomorrow, but should drop back to small craft advisories here along the coast. And winds also coming down over the inside waters. Southeast 15 to 20 knots tomorrow afternoon. South 25 knots, Lynn Canal and Glacier Bay. And then for Monday, down to about 20 knots, a little lighter wind, less gradient there. A lot less gradient here over the central inside waters. It's variable at 10. And light down to the south as well, 5 to 15 knots. And then the winds about 20 knots southeasterly right up the coastline there on Monday, but 25 knots small craft advisories on up to the north. And for the Prince William Sound area tomorrow, light variable winds at 10 and pretty light variable winds as well for Cook Inlet all the way down across Shelikof Strait. And 15 to 20 knot northeasterlies here for the western North Gulf Coast, possibly into the Barren Island zone, north at 10 for Kodiak. And then not much change there for the entire area around Kodiak Island. All these marine zones will be light and variable, 10 knots with slight seas. Southwest breeze here from Kamishak Bay right up Cook Inlet, and then kind of a northwest direction or variable to northwest, but pretty light. Same thing for Prince William Sound. For Bristol Bay tomorrow, 20 to 25 knot winds from the west. Otherwise, everywhere else a lot lighter. Northwest 10 to 15 across the peninsula, and southwest here south of Chignik on up towards Sitkinak, but only at 10 knots. For Monday, the winds diminish, less of a breeze there for Bristol Bay, and pretty light and variable here northeast at 10 on the Bering Sea side of the peninsula to the southwest at 10. Really laid down here southwest of Kodiak Island. Out in the Aleutians, 10 to 15 knots south to southeasterlies through this area. More of a light variable condition there for the eastern Fox Islands, and east of 10 to northeast of 15 out to the west. And they'll stay light through Monday, variable to northeast, only at about 10 knots there from Amchitka west. Adak and Atka easterlies at 15, and then very light southeast winds for the Fox Islands. For Bristol Bay, or for the west coast here, northwesterlies at 15 to 20 knots, West 10, St. Lawrence Island into the northern Bering Sea, and very light breezes for the Pribilofs. And then on to Monday, westerlies of 15 for St. Lawrence Island and southwest here, light for the northern Bering Sea. Northwest at about 15 there from Nunivak Island, or the channeled areas there between there and the coast, down in across the west of Kuskokwim Bay, and then more of a southeast, really just variable at 10 for the Pribilofs. For the Arctic coast, northeast or east-northeast, 10 to 20 knots, down from today, but highest on the east side, and northeast possibly as high as 20 knots here on the west side, and then kind of north to northwest to westerly and across Kotzebue Sound, roughly at about 15. Same pattern for Monday, but a lot lighter. All those winds down to about 10 knots or less here along the Arctic coast. Kind of westerly, a little bit of a reversal in the wind up there, but very light and variable. Even on the east side, they're coming down 5 to 10 knots there toward demarcation point. And for tonight again, wind and rain on the increase as this system pulls northward, and then again a low center eventually kind of pull back to the west. So that's going to stall that front out along the coast and kind of put the Panhandle in a prolonged period of rain. Rain also increasing here right along the immediate coast. High pressure, less wind over the Copper River Basin. Actually probably go dead calm tonight, and also less wind for south central Alaska, but still showers, some of them on the heavy side with embedded thunderstorms from the Kilberg Mountains right up along the Alaska Range, spilling into the Kuskokwim Valley about as far west as the Kuskokwim Mountains, and then kind of an increase in the clouds here to the west, but the extreme coast staying pretty nice. Eastern interior sunny tomorrow, south central Alaska pretty sunny, but this moisture coming back to the west, wet in the Panhandle, wet in the west central interior, and to a lesser extent on Monday, but the rain keeps falling over the coast of.
These forecasts are to be used for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating. Alaska Weather is made possible by the following sponsors.
The National Weather Service.